After being saved by CEO Kuang, Linda felt as if she had been reborn from the abyss of pain and despair. The days of drowning in sorrow and misery seemed to have become a thing of the past, leaving only a new sense of hope within her. She began to realize that in life, she herself was the most important thing. In the past, she had thought that only her husband could give meaning to her life, that his love and acceptance were the only factors that made her feel like she existed. But now, Linda understood that she could no longer continue living in a toxic relationship, one where she simply endured, sacrificed for others, and forgot about herself. She realized that this life belonged to her and that she deserved to be happy, to be free, and not to suffer endless pain caused by her cruel husband. Every time she recalled what she had been through, Linda no longer felt weak or hopeless as before. Instead, a newfound strength arose within her, urging her to live for herself, to stand up and fight for her right to be loved and respected. Although she knew that challenges and pain awaited her on the road ahead, Linda decided that she would no longer let the ghosts of the past control her life. She would not surrender, she would keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the journey might be. Linda could not let her husband's betrayal, his infidelity, become the reason to end her life like that. She realized that no matter how immense the pain was, no matter how shattered her heart felt by his lies and betrayals, she still had the right to live a better life. She could not allow his mistakes to destroy everything she deserved. She refused to become a victim of the very life she had once dreamed of. She was exhausted from suppressing her own feelings and needs just to hold on to a relationship that was unworthy of her. Though love had once been the most important thing to her, Linda now understood that love must begin with herself. She could no longer live in the shadow of a cruel husband, the man in whom she had placed all her trust, only to receive betrayal in return. Linda had made up her mind. She would not let him, or anyone else, force her to abandon herself and her dreams. She would no longer allow this pain to dictate her life, nor let the shame and heartbreak of the past overshadow the opportunities ahead. Even if everything seemed to be against her, Linda knew that her life belonged to her, and she deserved to be loved, to live freely, and to be happy. Fortunately, CEO Kuang was not only the one who saved Linda from death, but he also became a friend, a confidant, helping her rise from the ruins of a once painful life. When Linda had no one by her side, when she felt alone and abandoned, Quang appeared like a rare light in the darkness. He was not just a powerful and wealthy boss, he was also a man with a generous heart, always willing to share what he had to help others, especially Linda. Understanding and deeply empathizing with the pain Linda was enduring, Quang not only helped her escape from her miserable circumstances but also found her a safe place to stay, a temporary home, simple yet enough for her to start over. Quang knew that for Linda, having a shelter, even if temporary, was the first step in rebuilding her life. This small house was not just a refuge, it was a place where she could find peace in her heart after months of living in fear and suffering. Beyond just finding her a home, Quang also took care of every little detail, ensuring she had everything she needed for daily life. He carefully selected each item, from a single bed to simple household essentials like dishes and towels, all to make Linda feel like she was no longer abandoned. Every object, no matter how small, carried his genuine care and kindness. Linda couldn't help but be touched by his thoughtfulness and generosity. In the loneliest days of her life, these gestures were reminders that she was still worthy of love, that she could still hold on to hope for a new beginning. But the most precious thing about Quang was his presence in Linda's life every single day. Beyond material support, he was a wonderful friend, someone who was always ready to listen and share in her deepest emotions. Whenever Linda felt lost, whenever painful memories from the past came rushing back, Quang was always there, willing to talk, to comfort, and to be by her side. He never judged her. Instead, he gave her the understanding and compassion she had never experienced before. Quang always reassured Linda that she didn't have to carry all the pain alone, that she truly deserved a happy and fulfilling life. Their conversations were not just simple words of encouragement but moments that helped Linda realize she could still smile and keep moving forward, not for anyone else, but for herself. Thanks to Quang, Linda slowly began to open her heart again. She no longer viewed life through a lens of darkness and pain. He became a powerful source of motivation, a friend she could trust with her deepest fears she couldn't share with anyone else. Every time she spoke with Quang, she felt as if she was healing, as if the wounds in her heart were gradually closing, allowing rays of hope to shine into her life once more. Quang was not just someone who had saved her physically, he was the one who helped her rediscover herself. He was the friend who always stayed by her side, never letting her feel alone or abandoned. This sincere friendship, though its future was uncertain, had already helped Linda survive the darkest moments of her life. She felt grateful to Quang, not only for what he had done for her, but also for simply being there through her journey of recovery and renewal. Because of Quang, Linda realized that her life was not over, it was just beginning. A new chapter, full of hope and endless possibilities, was waiting for her. Unfortunately, one day, Linda's husband discovered her new place of residence. Blinded by jealousy and wounded pride, he quickly realized that CEO Kuang had helped Linda find shelter. Instead of understanding that Quang was simply a kind-hearted man willing to assist a woman in distress, Linda's husband immediately assumed the worst. He convinced himself that Linda had been unfaithful to him, that she had sought comfort and support from another man behind his back. His jealousy and suspicion consumed him, making him lose control. His ego, deeply bruised, pushed him into a rage, and in his fury, he decided he had to confront Linda. With anger and doubt clouding his mind, he stormed toward the small house Quang had helped Linda rent. As he stood before the door, the imagined betrayal replayed in his head like a raging storm, fueling his inability to contain himself. The moment he stepped inside, he didn't wait for an explanation, nor did he care to seek the truth. Instead, he immediately lashed out, violently wrecking everything in sight. Chairs and tables were overturned, household items crashed into each other in a chaotic mess. His every action reflected a man unable to accept the reality that his wife had finally found an escape from his control and the cycle of violence he had inflicted upon her. His rage didn't stop there. Fueled by uncontrollable anger, he lashed out at Linda with cruel and degrading words. He hurled insults at her without mercy, accusing her of being a traitor, unworthy of his love and sacrifices. Each word he spat was like a dagger piercing Linda's heart, leaving her stunned and in pain. Yet, despite the chaos, Linda did not panic or break down. After emotionally tormenting Linda, her husband didn't stop. His rage turned into something even more dangerous: blackmail. He demanded that she find a job and earn money to support him, claiming that since she had betrayed him, she now had to make amends. To him, Linda's life no longer held any value unless she submitted to his demands. He had no regard for her feelings or suffering. His only concern was his own benefit. Unable to accept the idea of divorce, he used every weapon at his disposal to force Linda into submission. "If you don't do as I say, I won't let you live in peace," he threatened, his eyes filled with hatred and malice. These words sent a chill down Linda's spine, but at the same time they strengthened her resolve. He was no longer just trying to control her physically now, he wanted to steal her freedom and take away her right to make her own choices. Would he really let Linda go so easily? And could CEO Kuang help her escape from the grip of her abusive husband?
Một trong những yếu tố nổi bật trong câu chuyện này là sự đấu tranh nội tâm mà cả cô gái và giám đốc phải đối mặt. Giám đốc là người phải lựa chọn giữa tình yêu và những trách nhiệm gia đình, đặc biệt là đối với cha mình, người có ảnh hưởng lớn nhất đến sự nghiệp và cuộc sống của anh. Đây không là một tình huống khó xử, anh có thể bị coi là phản bội gia đình hoặc phá vỡ những kỳ vọng mà cha mình đặt ra. Cô gái mặc dù có không có quyền lực để thay đổi quyết định của cha giám đốc, nhưng lại đại diện cho một hình mẫu của tình yêu tự do không bị chi phối bởi tiền bạc hay quyền lực. Cô có thể cảm thấy đau đớn khi tình yêu của mình bị từ chối chỉ vì những yếu tố ngoài tầm kiểm soát, và phải đối mặt phải và phải phải đối diện với sự thất vọng trong không thể thay đổi quyết định của gia đình. Từ đó, góc độ tâm lý, câu chuyện này không phản ánh sự giằng xé giữa tình yêu và trách nhiệm, mà còn là một hành trình tự khám phá bản thân của từng nhân vật. Giám đốc có thể cảm thấy bất lực và bị mắc kẹt trong mối quan hệ giữa cha và tình yêu của mình, trong khi cô gái có thể cảm thấy mình bị xem nhẹ và không được chấp nhận. Cả hai đều phải đối mặt với sự từ chối và phải tìm cách tự giải thoát khỏi những ràng buộc xã hội và gia đình. Cha giám đốc có thể là một nhân vật mang nhiều cảm xúc phức tạp. Mặc dù ông có thể bị coi là nhân vật phản diện trong câu chuyện, nhưng từ một góc độ nào đó, hành động của ông cũng phản ánh sự lo lắng bảo vệ cho tương lai của con trai mình. Trong thực tế, ông có thể tin rằng một cuộc hôn nhân có giá thế và địa vị sẽ giúp bảo vệ sự nghiệp và danh tiếng của con trai mình. Câu chuyện này qua cả